Kody and Robyn. They closed on Coyote Pass. Kody and Robyn then had a party at their house where Kody fake cried about his relationships with his kids, and Robyn convinced Kody that it was all the ex-wife's fault for putting ideas in the minds of their adult kids. Yes, and that's why these kids don't like Kody or Robyn. Yep. Kody Brown, you know, I had some of one of you in my comments made this amazingly smart point. You had said that on the show, Special Forces, Kody took responsibility, and he said that it was his fault for the relationships eroding in his family, and that because he was the head of the family, eventually the failure lands on him, and it's specifically his fault in relation to his children. Then you said, but then he went home to Robyn. And what do you want to bet that when he got home to Robyn, Robyn convinced him that it wasn't his fault, and it was actually his kids' fault because Robyn has beef with his kids. And I thought, you know, nobody helps Kody and reinforces his delusions and his "it's never your fault" more than Robyn. And this episode was proof positive to me that she's the one planting some of these weird thoughts in his head. Robyn has this weird thing where she tells on herself, right? If you haven't followed Robyn and you don't know of Robyn, let me present you to Robyn. Or if you do know Robyn, you'll be like, this is so Robyn. Robyn tells Kody and the camera with a straight face that people can influence their children and tell stories to their kids to turn them against their other parent when they're in the middle of a divorce. Robyn should know this because this is exactly what she did to her children when it comes to her ex-husband, Preston Jessup. Preston Jessup, a man that lives in Montana, was painted as a violent man that didn't pay child support and never wanted to see his kids. Now she is married to Kody Brown, who doesn't see his kids, wasn't paying child support until a court forced him to pay a child support for Truly. Never paid child support for Christine's kids. Never paid child support for Janelle's kids in any way. Never paid for health insurance for those kids. Nothing. Whereas Robyn's kids get health insurance through Kody, and her kids through Kody get paid. But it's okay for Kody to ignore his children, not pay child support. But it wasn't okay for her ex-husband to not see the kids when she was getting in the middle and not allowing him to see the kids. And when Kody and Robyn were planting ideas in the kids' heads that their dad was abusive, even though there was zero records to prove this, no allegations of. Abuse in court, nothing. The best time for Robyn to have brought up any allegations of DV or child abuse would have been in court, and it didn't happen. Not once. She made zero accusations of such behavior. There was no finding of a court that anything happened. No police records of anything of the such, nothing. In fact, it was her husband or ex-husband charging her of being manipulative, poisoning the kids against him, brainwashing them. And now Robyn tells Kody that it's the ex-wives that are doing this to him and they're turning the kids against him. It's wild. I think there's some her feelings and misunderstandings and some influencing that's been happening, some pretty strong influencing. And I just feel like it's so important for your kids to have a relationship with you and for you to have one with them and for them to have one with me. I don't think parents actually completely understand how much little things they say actually influence the way their children think about the other parents. It's pretty rare that we get to see in real time what triangulating looks like and what Robyn's doing here, but she's triangulated. She is telling Kody that there is someone in the way of his relationships with his children, and there's someone in the way of his relationships with his children and Robyn having a relationship, and it's the other women. And so she's saying that the other women are the perpetrators and they are the victims of the perpetrators, and that the children are, and it's Kody's responsibility to go in and save the children from the perpetrators of his ex-wives, because these are the women that are dictating how Kody views how his kids view him. They're not going based upon their own real experiences. They're not capable of thinking for themselves, intellectualizing and analyzing the events that they had. They're not capable of having their own thoughts or feelings. They're going off of the way that their moms told them to feel. And while she's doing this, she's playing with her hair and she's, buying time and being slow and trying to make it seem like it's his idea. And this is after Kody says to her, well, maybe I need to go to a therapist to talk about what's going on and get some tools to have conversations with them. And then Robyn says, yeah, that would be a great idea. But I actually think that the problem here is that your ex-wives are influencing the children and that's their fault. And it's their fault. And so she's placing the kids as the victims of the wives and taking Kody's responsibility completely away from him. She's totally enabling the abusive behavior because in truth, she's not wanting to solve Kody's problems. That's my view. Because Kody will never be able to fix the relationships until he takes ownership. And so now we understand what this whole idea is about these apologies he's going to go on. It's all about Kody saving face. It's all about Kody getting people to stop talking badly about him. It's all about Kody trying to get the negativity that surrounds him right to stop. It's not about actually caring. And Robyn's not helping him because she's telling him that the real problem isn't that he did anything wrong. The real problem is that the moms in the case influence the kids not to like him. And in mixed marriage, dad's not around the same amount as mom. I'm just drained and so tired of being blamed for how his kids feel about him. It's his job, not mine. Look, I wish I had a lot of impact on my adult children. Boy, things would be really different. I've reached out to every one of my children. And multiple times. And if they don't have a relationship with me, it's because they're not returning it. No matter what any of them say, there will always be a Kody-sized hole in their hearts. So the story that Robyn is telling Kody is that it's not his fault. The kids are the victims of their moms talking negatively about them to her, the kids, and that it's actually polygamy's fault that Kody doesn't have relationships with his children, and it's not his fault that they're not returning calls, ignoring the fact that it took a very long time for them to get to places where they didn't want to communicate with him to begin with. You don't just go no contact for the sake of going no contact. Generally, you go no contact after years and years and years of issues occurring and dad or mom not taking responsibility and mom or dad not being the parent that they're supposed to be, or the abuse is so extensive and so out of control that you just can't have conversations with them, and that the only way for your sanity is to get away from the manipulation of the narcissist. I mean, Michaela stated that she needs space from Robyn because she doesn't know if Robyn is going to abuse her or not. To further drive home that Kody regurgitates Robyn's talking points, I want to show you what he told Fox 5 in New York about what happened in the divorces. So, when the divorces happened, the children were the victims of the divorce, and they had to pick sides, and they had a closer relationship because of polygamy to their moms. And so it was just a normal movement that they moved away from me that hurt me. And so I tended to get very, very toxic. Because so now that Kody's back home and he's had conversations with Robyn, he no longer takes responsibility for his part. And he says that he only said it because he was in a military experience and that he just told them what they wanted to hear. But really, it's a two-way street. He says the kids are victims of the breakup. He reasons away the fact that they don't have a relationship with him because of polygamy. And then he downplays his culpability by discounting the fact that he was toxic, by saying that because they're on a show, everything is being pointed at him and then they're all pointing out each other's flaws, which makes things and exacerbates things even worse. This is proof that her impact of what she tells him transmutes his thoughts, as Kody would say. He loves to say transmutes his thoughts and puts ideas in his head. And that he has her who is a yes person. So no narcissist can live without an enabler. And an enabler is someone that allows the narcissist to feel like they're allowed to feel the way that they feel. And they can only live as long as they're pumped up around people that literally just tell them what they want to hear. And so this is what Kody wants to hear. He wants to hear that it's not his fault. He wants to hear it that it's their fault. He wants the excuse to stay mad at the exes and to stay mad at everything so that he doesn't have to take responsibility, because taking responsibility is hard and it completely fractures the ego of the narc. Robyn's manipulation is so clear, and we just didn't always see it because we never saw Kody and Robyn's one-on-one conversations. We only saw Kody talking with the other women for years because Robyn never wanted to be on camera. And now Robyn is having to pick up and take more responsibility for the shooting. And we're seeing in real time how she manipulates. It's not just been one breakup, it's been 3. And that's a lot to take to your self-confidence. The fact that Kody is still functioning as well as he is a freaking miracle given what has been dumped on top of his head. There's a saying I heard, the knife of the father is never out of the heart of his children. That's what my point is. That breaks my heart. And there she is enabling him again by making it so that the divorces were thrown on him. They left him. It's their fault that they put this on him, completely ignoring Kody's duty and giving up on the family. I mean, I started this video with a clip of Kody saying that he went through male menopause and his testosterone tanked. And because his testosterone tanked, apparently that meant he didn't care anymore. which is wild and makes zero sense. I mean, their testosterone does tank as a kid, as adults get older, as guys get older, but that doesn't explain him not caring. I mean, maybe he couldn't keep up with the sexual wants because of the libido going down. I don't know. But Kody on one hand says, it's not my fault. Then he says, well, maybe it was my fault. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm sure. I'm not, I don't know. And then Robyn's like, it's amazing that he's even survived, that the 3 women that he neglected and abused and took money from and exploited and trafficked for all of these years decided to leave him and do what was right for them and actually hold themselves up and become independent of him and free themselves from his abuse. It's Kody's fault. It's not Kody's fault that they left him. It's their fault that they hurt him by leaving him even though they were abused by him and her for like years. It's their fault. And then he brings up some stupid quote from a book. I think it's from an Italian book. But the quote is that the father's pain and what he inflicts on his children always lives in the heart of the child, and the damage that he causes is the problem and leaves lasting damage on the kids. And yes, that's true. And that's you need to take responsibility, but Robyn will find a way to not have him take responsibility. But that's like you're talking about this event, and those are like, you have some regrets. Being able to do that with your kids would really be an advantage. When I see Kody being rejected by his kids, I see myself, and while I was angry and did refuse my biological father for years, I do understand how much I needed him and still would love to have him in my life. So Robyn and Kody have daddy problems. Kody starts bawling about not fixing things with his dad. Then Robyn starts crying about her dad. And she says that when she sees his kids rejecting him, it tells her that she rejects her dad and how she wants to have a relationship with her dad and that she looks like her dad and she wants him in her life. But her dad is still physically alive. He's living. He lives in Montana. If she wanted to see him, she could call him on the phone. I mean, I'm sure he would take her call. Why would she call someone that she doesn't want to have a relationship with? Why would she reach out to someone and want him and say she wants him in his life, but he's alive? She could do those things. I mean, you can cut off touch with your parents. I have. And you can be like, you know what? I don't want to have a relationship with you. I don't need to fix things. This is done. And that's okay. It doesn't mean it doesn't hurt, but you can accept the boundary that you make, and you can understand why you did it. You're not refusing anyone. Kody's kids aren't rejecting him. He refused them years before. He took no interest in their lives. He ignored them. He's not the victim of being denied. He's the victim of his decisions and abuse. And I can't stand that Robyn constantly enables this man and makes it like the kids are committing a cardinal sin because they don't want to be in his company after years of being neglected. This has been a really, really difficult, hard situation probably for them to understand. It's been very, very difficult. Probably I had a lot of mean things to say about their moms as part of the problem. That's not good. No, that wasn't a road I should have ever gone down. I don't have a voice with Janelle or Mary or Christine, but I do with Kody. I was like, you need to find yourself again because you've lost that good man that I married. Robyn is always giving Kody an excuse and being like extremely empathetic to what he's done to everyone around him because then she would have to admit that she enabled him and manipulated him to do what he did. Kody does whatever he wants regardless, and he's a creep and he's weird and he's a terrible human being, but Robyn helps that and feeds that and gives him what he wants to hear, but then also gives him an out and tells him it's not his fault, which is ridiculous. And I keep thinking with this, like I can't imagine being with a man that has children with another woman and he doesn't have a relationship with them. I can't picture being with a man that has children with someone else that doesn't pay for them, that doesn't care to have a relationship with them. Because then, what's that to say that he wouldn't do that to my child? I mean, if he's going to trash the exes and say mean things about them and be cruel, he'll do that to Robyn. He'll do that to whoever he's with. He'll do that to all of them. And whatever she's doing here to try to tell him that he's not at fault is ridiculous. It's how I think maybe she can justify staying with him, and maybe that's why she has a blabbermouth-like meltdown at the upcoming tell-all where she starts crying about how she doesn't support everything he does, and she's like blabbering on and on and on about how she doesn't always agree. with him and she's like angry about it. You'd have to tell yourself lies to stay with someone like this. You'd have to tell yourself a lot of really big lies to explain being in with a man like this. You would have to, because I couldn't do it. I couldn't be with someone that had sex with other women while I was married to them. I couldn't be with someone that fathered other children with other women while I was married to them. Or with Robyn's case, having sex with other women while she's married to him, the formal wife. I couldn't do it if my husband was dividing all of his money across all these different people. I couldn't do it. And then when it breaks up and he's there, they leave him, she explains it by blaming the women who are the victims. She's so foolish. And I mean, Christine and Janelle aren't perfect. Nobody in the situation is, but I don't see either one of them commanding and telling their kids what to think or feel. Those kids have their own brains. They've made their own decisions. They've actually figured things out based on their own lived experiences. And if they've watched their dad mistreat their moms over and over and over again, and they've also faced their own neglect and their own isolation and their own abuse from their father, that's their experience. And Robyn doesn't get to tell Kody that it's not his fault or speak for the kids and blame the women when those kids have a right to have their own feelings without any of these parents telling them what to think. And I don't believe Christine or Janelle are affecting that at all. That's on Kody. So, Robyn blames the women and allows Kody and the delusions go deep. Tell me what your ideas are in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up, make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed, and click the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, besties.